We're going to be talking about Puerto Vallarta. We're going to be talking about boutique hotel investing, but we want to let you know this can apply to whether you're buying your first property, your second property, a fourplex, an eightplex. So the principles apply very similarly no matter what you are purchasing. We're going to go on to the next slide here. And Elisa, do you want to go through our agenda for today?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to be covering a lot. So, of course, the fine print and disclaimers. We'll definitely be talking about ourselves, Liza, herself, WREN, and myself, why boutique hotels, why we've come into this wonderful opportunity. Puerto Vallarta, why we love Puerto Vallarta. Introduction to some rock stars, Michael and Ray, and then all our Rockstar team members as well. We'll be talking a bit about that. And we can go to the next screen of what we're talking about.
Proposed structure, accredited investors, financing, perks, benefits, and revenue, WREN membership and coaching. We'll have hopefully some time for Q&A and some next steps. And I just wanted to talk about a couple of the photos. You're going to see some photos of us enjoying ourselves in Mexico. This particular picture is a group of ladies on International Women's Day on one of the boutique hotels terraces that we were looking at. And so that's my mom in the foreground there. And that's also my mom on the giant flamingo. And one of the things that you'll hear me talking about with this picture, and you can ask me the story when we have more time, but we have a little video that basically says, if your retirement doesn't look like this, you're doing something wrong. So that's all of the ladies, the expat community down there having a great old time with enjoying all of the crazy things that happen down there. And so there we go. Okay, so earnings disclaimers, we always have to share that the information we're sharing is not real information. It's based on projections that we're doing. Anytime you are making an investment, you really, really need to consult your professional advisors, your lawyers, whoever you talk to as your team members. You need to do your due diligence on a project, whether it's a boutique hotel or anything else. One of the things that we've really, in this particular market, we're really being reminded of is real estate should be considered a long-term hold. So if you feel like you're making an investment and you can't necessarily hold on for 5 years, then it might not be the right investment. Because things happen, markets change. We've all seen that over the last few years. And heaven knows I have some properties that I would have loved to exit out of, and I'm still in them, and I'm probably going to be in them for another year. So those are the kinds of things that we just want to remind you of, and that covers that. There we go. So a little bit about WREN, the Women's Real Estate Network. So again, I'm going through this fairly quickly for those of you who might not know who we are, and there will be lots of opportunity. We'll send a follow-up email with more details. But I started WREN, gosh, 8 years ago now. We're heading into our 9th year. Really very much about co-ownership, co-living, co-housing. And so women are natural collaborators. We are living longer. Men have been investing together for years. And of course, all the investment seminars, there's lots of men there. And you will see some guys in our group. We call them their enlightened men. And they're here because
enlightened men.
they enjoy investing with women, and they enjoy being part of the community. And they also know that if they're single, the ratio of men to women is in their favor by about 10 to 1. So we do welcome the guys as well. But we really focus on a number of different groups, as I say, women mostly. But when I first arrived in Victoria and started WREN, I was hearing a lot of young women who were feeling they're never going to be able to get into the market. So how do you get into the market? You partner. You have a joint venture partner. You do things outside of the box. You do things that are not the typical thing of going to the bank, getting turned down, and then walking away and giving up. At the other end of the spectrum are women who are mature, possibly sitting on a lot of equity, and they haven't tapped into it yet, or they don't know how to tap into it, or they feel uncomfortable tapping into it. And then there are also the busy women who just don't necessarily have time to invest, don't necessarily have time to plan for their future, but know they need to do it. And so there's that group as well. So we work with lots of different people. And of course, the people who join our tribe, we have lots of things like-minded. We love to travel, and we're passionate about being location independent. We'll talk about that as well. Some of our accomplishments and achievements, we've updated that on our WREN website, so you can see some of that, but we've been involved in advocacy. We've been involved in purchasing land, we've done land development, we've done subdivision development, we've invested in 8-unit apartment buildings, and one of my partners on our Crescent property is on the call right now. And oh my gosh, we've learned so many lessons. One of the things that we really want to do moving forward is make sure we share with people coming in the mistakes that we have made, because don't make the same mistakes we have made. And, you know, that's part of the process. There are always mistakes to be made, and you have to learn from them, and you have to adjust, and you have to move on. And most investors say if you haven't had a big mistake in real estate, then you haven't been in the game long enough. So we've done lots. We've impacted even things like how a municipality allows rooming houses. So we've actually done quite a bit, and we'll get into more detail for those of you who are interested in joining WREN. But that's just the kind of the short version of what WREN is. WREN, the Women's Real Estate Network.
Yeah, and it's such an amazing group, and that's how I met Liza, actually. So I'm so happy to have everybody here and meet everybody. So once again, I'm Lisa O'Connell. I'm starting up my own consulting business with Liza and with WREN called Sunkist Consulting, and that's going to be the hospitality, revenue, and property management side of this wonderful program that we're doing. So I'm originally from Saskatchewan, and that's what inspired me, actually, was the minus 30 to minus 40 with the wind chill weather in Saskatchewan. And when I was a very young girl, I decided I want to find the palm trees and the beaches where it was always warm. And I started an incredible career for 30 years working on cruise ships. My background is actually hospitality, revenue, and marketing. And then as hotel manager, if you've ever been on a cruise ship, it's a floating hotel. So I was a hotel manager for many years, just thrilled to travel the world, meet so many incredible people. But we were very structured in our revenue and our guest experience on managing this incredible floating hotel. And that's what I'm going to be bringing to the table for this group. And I'm thrilled to be here. My why is absolute freedom, creativity, having fun, and doing and living your best life. My first actual travel destination was Puerto Vallarta. So I fell in love with Puerto Vallarta in the late 80s. And I actually lived there for quite a few years. I was living there in 2015 and 16. And definitely my goal now is to invest in this real estate, invest in the boutique hotels. My goal is to say, why buy the condo when you can buy the building? So I was thrilled to align myself with Liza and start learning this process. I was a newbie just last year of buying on this scale. So I'm thrilled to be part of her coaching program and now part of WREN, and then helping everybody else come into Puerto Vallarta in these boutique hotels. So my future goals are definitely the portfolio. Let's get 2, 3, 4, 5 more. So I'm thrilled. Yeah.
Awesome. And yeah, I sure am happy to have Lisa on this journey with me, because having someone who has I also worked on cruise ships, and having someone who has a cruise ship background with all of those systems, you know, and one of the things that we'll be doing with the hotel process is lots of automation, bringing the digital age into this, and that really helps to cut down expenses. Boutique hotels, we've been watching so many other people get involved, and it's all about guest experience, but it's also about cutting expenses and bringing up revenue. So there's lots and lots of opportunity there. So just a little bit about me. Yep, that's me. My name is Liza Rogers. I have a background in tourism and events. The reason I got into real estate was because working in the gig economy, it was basically like, oh, you work in tourism and events on contracts. And yeah, I love the fact that you've worked at the Olympics, and love the fact that you've been a tour guide, but you don't qualify for a mortgage because you don't have a traditional job. So I had to find something that was non-traditional to help me make sure that I lived the lifestyle that I have become accustomed to and want to continue. I want to be location independent. And real estate was the answer. So long-term real estate investing so that I have money for my retirement and my future is really why I started real estate investing. A little bit about my why. You've already seen a few photos of my mom, and I think a lot of us have our families as our why. So for me personally, I'm single. My mom was a single mom. She raised 2 kids on a hairdresser salary. She's 77 and she just retired last year. So I want to give her, you know, a great life. I think she's probably going to live to be 100 at least. And so I want to make sure that her next 20 so odd years are awesome, and she can travel a lot and not have to worry about anything. And I know many of you are, you know, in the sandwich generation. You've got parents to look after, aging parents, and you've got kids. and those are probably your why, and you want to make sure that they are set up. So you want to also build legacy and generational wealth for your family, and you also want to live a great life, right? You want to be surrounded with people who are having fun. You want to live a great life. You want to travel, and using something like boutique hotels with economies of scale, and not being mortgage poor by your home, or making sure you're tapping into equity if you have the luxury of being able to do that, gives you a lot more of that flexibility. And I just want to say, one thing about the responsibility of women, and I'm going to mention something about our enlightened men. I see so many women who are kind of thinking that maybe they're just going to rely on the government. Young women, middle-aged women, women of all ages. And I want us to really take a step back and think about our responsibility to look after ourselves, and also to help inspire and look after the younger generations, because the younger generations is who's going to be looking after us when we get old. And I don't want someone who isn't a go-getter and driven and wants to live a full life looking after me when we're in our retirement home and we need to hire our private nurses and our private chefs. So I really want to encourage all the ladies to take responsibility for their financial future, their health, and all of the things that are involved. And our enlightened men, this is also a message to you, because the average age of a widow in Canada is 56 years old.
Yeah.
So what that means is that, you're losing your husbands. And so it's really, really important for our guys to really get their heads on straight, get their health in check, join us on this journey, and have a full life and a healthy life, and live as long as you can with us on this journey. So that's my message there. That's enough about me.
And why the boutique hotels, and this is a very good example. We talk about economies of scale, and you might wonder, well, what does that mean, Lisa and Liza? But here's an example. We were recently just crunching some numbers and looking at properties and comparisons in Canada compared to Puerto Vallarta. You look at the house on the right, although it looks kind of nice, it's a 2-bedroom townhouse actually, and this is in Kitsilano in Vancouver, and it's a townhouse on a strata lot, so you don't even own the land. And this is currently on sale for $2.3 million for just that. And when you look at the property that we are looking to invest in, is $2.7 million, 12 bedrooms, 13 bathrooms. And that's what it means about economies of scale, is how far and how well are you going to invest your money into a property, and what is that property going to return for you, and what is the enjoyment and the value you're going to get. So this is one of the absolute best examples we found recently of why we are so interested in the boutique hotel model, for sure.
Yep. And we just literally stumbled on that yesterday. We said, hey, we should probably find a comparable. So yeah, Vancouver, 2 bedrooms, strata lot. You don't even own the land, compared to our boutique hotel. And this is our live offer that we have right now, which I'm going to get into in a couple of minutes. But yeah, just again, those economies of scale in that comparison.
Yeah, amazing.
So a little bit more about why boutique hotels. So there's a number of things, and this also applies to, with the boomer economy sell-off, this applies to any business. So if you are thinking that, oh, I'm not quite ready to invest in property yet, maybe you're going to go buy a laundromat. I mean, laundromats are one of the potentially great investments because they're owned by a lot of mom and pop. So the boomer economy has a big sell-off right now. The numbers are in line with around 12 million businesses that are owned by boomers, with an absolutely huge economic value. 70% of those businesses are going to be sold in the next 5 to 10 years. Some of them will just close down because there will be no buyers. But that is, that's a lot of money changing hands, and that's a lot of opportunities. Again, why boutique hotels? So I've got a little no Airbnb sign there. There's a lot of changes globally to the short-term rental economy. So whether you like the short-term rental economy, whether you don't like it, whether you take the government side or you don't take the government side, the reality is the governments and international economies haven't caught up with the fact that we are becoming location independent, and we're becoming more nomadic globally. There's more and more global citizens. They haven't quite caught up to that yet. So it's going to take a while for them to catch up to that. And so what they have been doing, and this is happening, as I mentioned, around the world, they're restricting short-term rentals. So in BC, as an example, we just went into law on May 1st that you cannot have a short-term rental except in very specific areas
Yeah, very
that's
restricted.
under 3 months. So 6-month nursing contracts are out the window in places like Victoria, film crews out the window. And so it has a massive trickle down effect. So if you own a commercial property or if you own a residential property, you might just not be able to have a short-term rental anymore. If you own a boutique hotel, you own a hotel. So if you want to rent your place out for a day, that's the hotel license that allows you to have that flexibility. So that's much different. And Lisa, do you want to
Yeah. And well, and that's one of the privileges, to have a return on your investment and to earn the income to help support the expenses that you might have and just enjoy the extra revenue. But also, one of the big things we get from our ladies in our group is about community and a sense of loneliness that they might have in Canada, the United States, and they want to be around active, women that are doing lots of activities and enjoy a sense of community. We have lots of plans at our boutique hotels to share that. But I also want to mention to everybody, this is another good example where about the boomers selling off. I think, Liza, wasn't it about 5 or 6 of the properties, the hotels, all different sizes, from $6 million down and up. 95% of them were boomers. They were either American or Canadian owners that had bought many, many years ago that were selling their properties. So it's actually this is an exact example of being a benefit for us buying in Puerto Vallarta. This is great.
Okay, so one of the things that we wanted to talk about, obviously, why Puerto Vallarta and why Mexico. So we're both going to cover off a few of these points. So I'm imagining that some of you have been following the news about the Mexican economy, the Canadian economy, the US economy. I've written a couple of articles. They're on LinkedIn. We'll include them in a follow-up email if you want to read a little bit more. But the Mexican economy truly is on fire right now. It's expected to be one of the strongest economies over the next 10 years. One of the reasons it's so strong is because of nearshoring. So for those of you who maybe haven't heard that term before, Canada and the US have mostly been trading as large global partners with China, and a lot of our manufacturing comes from China. During the pandemic, when everything went to a massive slowdown, Mexico started building all kinds of opportunities to allow us to start becoming more dependent on them, so we didn't have the shipping delays that was caused during the pandemic. So Mexico is on fire with nearshoring. They are building manufacturing plants more. They're expanding their car manufacturing. They're expanding parts, all kinds of things. They're even turning down investment from China so they can cash in on it themselves. So they're doing an incredible job building their economy. The middle class is growing. So we love to see, as we're looking at these properties, people from Mexico getting involved in these properties, Mexican middle class out in the restaurants, and really the expat community and the Mexican middle class really mixing, and we just love that. Lisa, do you want to talk about some of those points?
Well, and absolutely. Like we're going to have different kind of programs for investing in different styles of these boutique hotels in Puerto Vallarta, but we're going to be offering retreats. Maybe you might have friends and family that want to invest, maybe want to be around different activities that are going to be happening over the year when you come down on vacation. And even though there's a huge growth of the expat community all over Puerto Vallarta, Bucerias, all the way to San Pancho, but we very much are going to be involved in the local community and the local amazing opportunities that we have within our community of working with the expats that are down there and the locals that are down there. And of course, that having that, quality of life and the fun that you can have. Medi-tourism is another huge thing, not just retreats for wellness, but medi-tourism. The dentist, I have my dentist down there, and her name is actually Liza, Dr. Liza. Literally a quarter or a fifth of the price of what it costs us here in Canada. And all other kinds of surgery that you can have down there. You can have a retreat just doing that. So we very much want to share that opportunity with these, different ways that you can enjoy the properties that we're going to be looking at. So that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just to reiterate, right? Women are living longer. We want a healthier lifestyle. We want to potentially be buying our own retirement property in today's dollars. We can get some cash flow from it. And then when we're ready to retire, you have your casita with your 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and you've got your neighbors really close by. So there's lots of really interesting ways to shape this. But again, our message to our enlightened men, right? We want the guys there as well. We want you to be healthy. We want you to live longer. We want you to participate. We want your butts in Mexico with ours. And so we really need our guys to you know, get healthy, get active, get out, have fun, and join the ladies on this journey. So that's a good one there. Let's go over. And yeah, so speaking of two great men, Lisa, do you want to introduce
Yes.
Michael and Ray?
Oh my goodness, I can't say enough great things about Michael and Ray. So Michael Holland and Ray Karem are long friends of mine. I actually worked Michael was my first chief purser back in the 90s on cruise ships, and we've maintained our friendship over the years. But the most important thing is they have lived and worked and created an extensive background in Puerto Vallarta. They do their real estate brokerage company there. They used to manage a lot of the luxury large villas and large properties. They don't do that anymore. They just do the luxury real estate, and they are going to be one of our key players in our connections for our power team and helping us find all these properties. They've pretty much found all 6 or 7 of the properties that we're looking at. So you'll hear more, and we have a great video interview we'll be sharing after this call as well of Michael and Ray.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and the next slide, I think we're going to be covering. This is one of the things that is critical when you're looking to invest in a foreign country, of course, or even in your local country. But you know that you have that power team, the rockstar team, the realtor, mortgage broker. You know, your inspector is very important in Mexico. Legal, insurance, your tax accountant, because the taxes are complicated on itself, and you want to have the right person on your team. Immigration, operations managers, that's going to be my key role with my team, is the operations, the property management of these properties, and the staffing, the manning of what we're going to have to make sure our properties are just the most amazing and well-run properties that we invest in. So that's a key thing that we're going to be offering with this plan.
Yeah, and I think it's just important, you know, just as investors in general, you really need to have a good power team locally, nationally, if you're looking overseas. You know, you need your local market specialists. So again, with Ray and Michael, there are local market specialists. They have incredible lawyers and architects and inspectors all working on their team, and we've already gotten to know quite a few of them. You definitely want your power team to have your back, right? I mean, we've definitely seen some situations where we've had people on our team who it's really been more important to make the sale. And so it's really important that your people have your back. You know, one of the things that we have seen with some of our key people is I've sometimes come up to a couple of my key people and said, hey, I'm interested in this property. And my realtor sponsor and power team member has said, no, you're not looking at that. It's in a terrible neighborhood. They're going to be doing this, and this there. So let's find a different one. So when you have a realtor who talks to you out of buying a property, that's the kind of person that you want on your team. So someone who has your back, and you really, you know, many times I have partnered with people on my power team. So I've partnered with my realtor, we've partnered with lenders, all kinds of things. So this, again, it's a really important thing, no matter what you're investing in, to have a power team. And of course, we talk about that in the coaching program and introduce you to some of the power team members. So let's go on to structure. So now I want to just be really clear here. This is a high level overview. So when we get into the structure, there's a lot more detail because we're dealing with local lawyer, a US lawyer, international lawyer, Mexican lawyer. But we are basing our structure on a company that as we move forward, we're going to be introducing you to one of our colleagues in a company called 21 by 5. So 21 by 5 is 21 families that buy 5 properties. They tried to get it going here in the US and it didn't quite work. Too many hurdles to overcome, cost was too high. And so 21 by 5 is really now exclusively in Europe. And so they basically have a structure that works for what we're trying to do. Remember, we're not just buying one property. We are going to be buying hopefully a portfolio of properties around the world so we can live our location independent lifestyle. And so the proposed structure, generally you have what's called a GP, a general partnership. So that's your holding company. Then you have your limited partners. So that's your investors who are investing their dollars, but they don't have the same exposure from a liability standpoint. So that's your investors, your shareholders into your association or your limited partnership. And your shareholders, so your shareholders in a GP LP structure, you can exit in the proposed exit strategy. You can potentially convert to a share, convert to an owner if we decide to, keep this as our retirement home. And so there's a number of different ways that you kind of work within this structure, and we'll be getting into a lot more detail. But in the amount of time we have, we're just talking about the very basics. There's also other opportunities where you can lend on a property. So you might not necessarily want to be involved in an investor, but you might say, hey, I know you are buying this property, and if you want to put your home as a second mortgage, we'll lend you money on the property. You have a fixed interest rate, a fixed timeline, and then again, you can exit when that loan is paid out, or again, you can convert to a shareholder. So that's super, super high level, and we get into much more detail when we talk to all of the lawyers for this particular property. And then when we actually go to the level of being an international fund, then it gets a lot more complicated. And that's where we're going to head to next. Speaking about complicated.
Yes, and right now for this particular investment, and as we start this with our membership and our program, is accredited investors. So don't let that scare you. But just as a overview, Canada and US are very similar. So to be an accredited investor, you have to have about $200,000 in income, what your income is to show for the last couple of years, and about a net worth of about $1 million, excluding your primary residence. Mexico is very similar, but their actual income is about $500,000 for being an accredited investor. So we will be looking for accredited investors for this first boutique hotel purchase that we're doing. But we also want to mention that because we have the plan of buying several more and structuring in very creative ways, there will be future opportunities for non-accredited investors and friends and family. I know Liza loves talking about this one. So talk about the friends and family offerings.
Yeah, so friends and family are exempt from the accredited investor requirements. So, one of the things that I want to encourage you, again, in general, if you are going to become a real estate investor, you want to start joining networks, whether it's our network or someone else's. And one of the key reasons why, as I say, I've had WREN now for 8 years. I have invested with people who are now my friends. They are legitimately my friends. We have built relationships over time, and we are able to invest together. These are people who started out as WREN members. Now they come to Mexico with me, and they stay in a condo with me and my mom. So they are legitimately our friends. So that is a way you can get your own friends and family together if you want to do something. When you're getting your own friends and family together, you still want to go through proper structure, do everything legally. But there are ways that you can invest as friends and family. If you are legitimately friends and family, you can build those friends and family relationships. As Lisa mentioned, accredited investors, probably most likely, and friends and family for this first opportunity. Yep. And what we'll be doing when we get to the next phase is we'll be starting a fund with an offering memorandum. And again, we will be getting into way, way, way more detail. That's all to do with Canadian securities, making sure that we are operating in a legal capacity, not taking money from investors who don't have enough experience, and all of the rest of those things. We've seen a lot of people get into trouble in the last couple of years, in particular, just because of the way the market has gone, and people thought they were getting in for shorter terms and it's longer. And so all of that is kind of being cleaned up from a lot of the different groups. And so we really want to follow that very closely. And so we'll, as we speak to people who are interested, we'll be following those parts of information. So there we go. And I know there's questions that are building up in the queue, and we really want to get through this because we've got such a limited
I'll keep track of them. I've got track of them.
Perfect. Now we get to the fun stuff. So if you own a boutique hotel, what are some of the perks, benefits, and dividends? Lisa, do you want to talk a little bit about some of this, and then I'll jump in?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we're going to be looking at you as an investor, and the first group of people coming in will have priorities over the time that you're going to be enjoying at these properties, especially the first one of how we're going to design the allotment of the quality of vacation time, what times that you'll be able to come down, maybe Christmas, maybe over the busy winter seasons, priority access for sure for the membership. So part of the WREN membership with this plan, you'll get definitely priority access for all the other opportunities and networking and information and education within the coaching program that you'll be having. Of course, my favorite topic, ROI, your return on the investment that you get to enjoy in this beautiful destination. And then Liza will talk about the other ones. But again, going back to the collaborative community is such a key point for us here to create. So that's one of the things with the shared values and goals that Liza will cover.
Just to reiterate on that, you know, we've got a curated collaborative community. We've got WREN members. We've got, you know, people who have the same mindset. And I wrote down a couple of key words here. So this is the way that our group thinks. So we're like-minded. A lot of us are location independent. We're snowbirds. We're a group of expats and locals. We're multi-generational, multi-ethnic, multicultural. We're lifestyle focused. We want a great retirement. We're active, we're healthy, we're participatory, and it's more than just about the money. So those are some of the key things that are our shared values. And, you know, our key goal is to retire well with a great community of people that we can have a great retirement with. And I've been studying my mom's group in Mexico for about 5 years now. And I tell you, they have it dialed in. You know, they go to concerts together, they charter buses and go. I mean, they just do everything. They golf, they have happy hours, they have Ukrainian Christmas parties. And the energy and the vibrancy in that group is just so inspirational. And they have a curated community that is at their fingertips in Puerto Vallarta. And so wherever you are, you know, curating that long-term community is really important for our mental health, our well-being, our longevity. And there's so many studies that show, you know, we're really struggling with loneliness as a global epidemic. So it's really important to have that resolved. And, you know, as we've mentioned, we've talked about the vacation quality time, right? Obviously, a whole part of becoming part of this opportunity is you get to use the property, right? So it's going to depend on how many people come in what format, and that's going to help us design how the property gets used. But the property will be there for you to use. You're also going to get your dividends, as Lisa said. And there will be, you know, an exit strategy. So at the end of, let's say, 5 years, those of you who said, hey, this was a great sample, I want to take my investment out and go and do this on my own or go and do something else, then there's an option to cash out. Some of you might want to say, hey, you know what? I love this. I want to like hold on to this. I'm gonna convert my 5-year investment to becoming now an owner in this, now we're calling it retirement property, and I'm going to take, you know, casita number 2, and that's going to be the casita that I'm going to use most of the time. And when I'm not there, we're still going to be able to rent it out. So there's lots of different exit strategies that are an options, and those will all come in the very long strategic proposals and the structure, and those will all be outlined in there. So that's a little bit more detail on that, but that's part of the fun and the excitement. Okay, in terms of this particular property, ideally it would be 6 investors investing $250,000 US into the project, but that could also be getting your group of family together or your group of 4 girlfriends together, forming a corporation and having the corporation buy in as a share. Again, we're doing this at a high level. We'll get into more detail, but it will be interesting to know how many people are interested and at what level. So we'll send that out, and we'll start to get some interest in what people are actually interested in and how they're interested in participating. We're looking at having everything ready by the middle of July. We're closing on the property in September, and of course, we'll have our final structures ready before then. So a couple more things just to finish up. If you're interested in doing something like this on your own or with your own group of friends, we are launching the coaching program. So I've been doing the whole WREN thing for 8 years. We've been doing lots of coaching. We haven't necessarily called it coaching. I'm a Mind Valley certified coach. I did the coaching program last year. We've been doing tons of coaching. And so we're taking this buy a village concept. And so the buy a village concept basically means whether you're buying a 4-plex with your partners, whether you're buying a family compound, it's all kind of a similar structure. You've got to have your power team. You've got to have your strategy in place. You've got to have your structure in place. And so we are starting that at the end of May. The coaching program is $8,295. There is a special on for May that's $3,295. I have 20 spots available. And so if there is anybody who wants to take the coaching program from this group, because you participated today, we're doing it for $27.95, and it includes a free membership. So it's a pretty big saving. And we'll send the link out in the follow-up email that we're going to send out. So I think that is it. Thank you for joining us today.